Thanks very much for tuning in to Unmissable. I'm Nabila Jamal. Tonight, right here on News 9, we're going to take you through details on the big directive sent out by the Ministry of Home Affairs asking states in India to be prepared, carry out civil defense mock drills. A big move indeed, and a big signal that India is moving towards a military action. We're taking you through those details. As always, the headlines first. Home Ministry directs several states in India to conduct civil defense mock drills as India-Pakistan tensions rise. Training students, rehearsing evacuation plans, all included in these mock drills, states will now have to carry out respectively. Putin speaks to Moody, says perpetrators of Pahalgam attack must be brought to justice. Putin accepts invitation to visit India this year, showing full support for India. And Pakistan conducts its second missile test. India calls it reckless act of provocation. Moody's warned that rising India-Pakistan tension could hurt Pakistan's access to external financing and pressure its foreign exchange reserves. To say that Pakistan's economy will crumble, India could largely be insulated. UNSC, United Nations Security Council, to be holding a closed-door meeting today on India-Pakistan tensions. We are waiting for a message to come out from there, but of course the world is watching. We're looking at the UNSC now seated to discuss extensively on what the repercussions would be. Pakistan will be wiped out if it continues anti-India operations. This is what BJP's Anurag Thakur says. Of course, politics now, as it rears its head, we're looking at the BJP saying Pakistan has no standing, no strength. It will be wiped out if it challenges India. Petitions challenging Waqf Act to be heard by bench led by next CJI BR Gawai on May 15. Sanjeev Khanna, who is the current, in fact he's retired, the current CJI, decided not to hear the Waqf petitions, handed it over to the next CJI. Israel approves plans to take full control of Gaza and remain there for an unspecified amount of time. A massive move now, as cabinet in Israel have all agreed upon a plan to take over Gaza completely. Trump announces 100% tariff for movies produced outside the United States. Says Hollywood is bleeding, it's devastated. So now all movies that will be made outside the United States will be imposed with 100% tariff. All right, India now stepping into war mode. I'm going to take you through the big directive that's coming from the Ministry of Home Affairs. Sirens, blackouts, evacuations. India is gearing up for what looks like a war preparedness drill of a scale that we've never seen in recent history. In an unprecedented move, the centre has directed states to activate full-scale civil defence measures, a step usually seen in war-torn nations and not peacetime India. Sources tell us the Ministry of Home Affairs has issued an urgent advisory to several states, asking them to conduct mock drills on the 7th of May, that's a day from now, a simulation of how the country would respond if at all war breaks out. Now, these drills go far beyond routine protocol. They're designed to mimic wartime scenarios, train civilians in survival tactics, and test how quickly local administrations can respond to threats. Now, here's what the plan will really look like. As per the MHA, air raid sirens will blare across districts to test alert systems. This is what our sources tell us as to what the MHA has planned. Blackout exercises will cut off power and lighting across zones to avoid any aerial detection. Camouflage measures will be enforced to hide vital installations. Evacuation rehearsals will be conducted with real-time coordination. And yes, civilians, that's school children also to be taking part in these drills, like what we saw in Kashmir schools. Here are some of the images that came in of students in schools of Kashmir who are largely living around the border area there, are currently being trained to hit the ground, shield their heads and sprint to safety, practicing what to do if in case a siren goes off. Civilians across India will now be drilled to respond like clockwise, literally like machines. If at all missiles fall or bombs hit, what next to do? This is no routine protocol. It's a country now training for survival. And those are images that have come in the last few days of schools in Kashmir getting ready. And here's the same Ministry of Home Affairs asking for similar drills to be carried out across India. So India now getting up for survival. It's a response that we are awaiting. If it does, we've got to be mighty prepared. MHA's civil defense drills directive very clearly says that we are prepping up for a major military move now. It's no question and no doubt that we are moving forward and a big military move is awaited. If Pakistan retaliates, the conflict may not stay limited to our borders. Cities like Delhi and Mumbai could be very well in the line of fire. While the IAF and air defenses are strong, the centre wants full civilian readiness, and which is why we're seeing mock drills that's going to be conducted on the 7th of May. It's not just the border states, several other states also have been directed. Now we're going to get some concrete details in a few hours from now, but this is what our sources tell us, that states across India have been sent out an alert to carry out these mock drills. The threat of conflict is no longer abstract. You should know that India isn't now waiting for the first strike. This, in fact, is to show that we are ready for any strike on any front at any time. Well, there you have it. Let me take you through our guest on the panel here to give us a little more. Abhishek Yadav, Rameshwar Yadav, apologies there, Lieutenant General Rameshwar Yadav joining me live. Sir, your take and a message that you would like to give to fellow Indians at this point who are looking at these directives as a warning that war is impending. What do you think, in your expertise, how do you break down this directive that's coming from the Ministry of Home Affairs asking for states to carry out mock drills?
You see, these are routine and the normal inspection during wartime. This is primarily to reduce the casualties in the civilian areas, and the certain precautions have to be taken as regards to our strategic installations and the population staying closer to these installations. So it is primarily a normal drill, primarily trying to tell them, look, there are chances that these areas may be impacted because of the war. So these are prepared. These are done to prepare the civil population for a warlike situation. So it is important, and especially to look at it the way people go about their routine activities. Now there are going to be certain restrictions. Some blackouts may be imposed, and some other actions can be taken. So civil defense is a normal routine thing during warlike situations, and this is what it is.
So you're saying that this is preparedness for a warlike situation. You know, for the last 2-3 years, we've been seeing very closely what's happening between Russia, Ukraine, and then Israel and Gaza. We saw similar drills that were carried out in those countries. Never did we imagine that we in India will have to be going through this. We also have Sanjay Mestin. Thanks very much, General, for joining us. Your take as India now prepares for a targeted military operation, and there's no doubts in that. How real is this threat of escalation? How do you decode this message coming in from the Ministry of Home Affairs?
See, Nabila, one thing is very clear. This time it is not going to be a repeat of Balakpur. Definitely it is going to be an upgraded form, and that is what the whole issue is, that the Pakistanis are clear that the Indian strike would be different this time, in where the dimensions would be very obviously different, and I think It could be sea-based, air-based, or anything. All options are open, including army. So everything is open. So they have a panic, and therefore, in such a case, the issue is that number of times it is expected that the enemy will obviously retaliate. So retaliation would be expected. Now, our air defense measures, passive air defense, active air defense measures, everything would be put on high alert once, whenever something happens, that is, whenever the balloon goes up. But the fact of the matter is that these are drills, now which people of India have to be prepared, the MHA which has announced, and therefore these are measures which have been instituted by the civil defense, and this is basically to alert the people. Secondly is, people should at least realize what is a air raid warning, what is a siren, what are the implications, what are the necessary drills. It's not only that it is blackout, even daytime, anything can happen. Some missiles or drones can be launched. So people have to be aware, because the moment our radars detected, immediately, in the hinterland, all sirens, wherever, the direction of that missile of the drone is, those will be intimated. So those will be such quick operations that people will have to be immediately reacting, not staying in built up areas or coming out in open and taking lying position. There are basic drills. And of course, all the vital areas and vital points which are of the country, especially close to the border, so they need to be protected. So obviously, there is an apprehension of escalation, because Pakistan definitely will retaliate. There is no doubt, because once we strike him, the retaliation is expected, but there are a large number of issues. What is his staying power? What is his credibility in terms of his armed forces, numerical superiority, and the state of his, military hardware. So that is in quite a state of, I would say, it's quite bad. But nevertheless, we have to be prepared. We have two live wars are going on as on date: Russia, Ukraine, and Israel, Hamas. So we have seen other day even a Houthi missile has struck the airport in Israel. So we have to take all precautions. We have to do a realistic assessment of the enemy, and realistic assessment implies that neither we overestimate and neither we underestimate. So these are all precautionary preventive drills, which all students, everyone in the country have to be aware, especially close to the border states. Nabila.
Let me also introduce Ambassador Deepak Vora joining me. Thanks very much, sir, for taking your time out. A quick look at the visuals that we're sharing with our viewers here is of a mock drill that's been carried out in the last few days in areas of Kashmir, closer to the borders. But now we hear the Ministry of Home Affairs sending out a signal across states to carry out these civilian mock drills. What does this signal to you? If Pakistan retaliates, how quickly could urban centers like Delhi or Mumbai become targets? And why should we be prepared?
Well, thank you very much. Always a pleasure to be with you, and of course with General Meston, who is unbelievable. He's brilliant, and your other colleague who's on the show. I learn from you every time I'm there. Ma'am, you're talking of if Pakistan retaliates. Did I hear you correctly?
Yes.
Retaliate for what? For an Indian attack? We are very clear about it. Ma'am, who's been threatening to use nuclear weapons? India or that Pakistan? Whose ministers keep saying we have nuclear weapons? Do we do it, ma'am? We're a mature democracy. They do it. So retaliate against what? The only thing we need, the only thing they should understand, I hope they do, we're not going to wait for the hit of one of their missiles on an Indian target. They launch, we launch. And we launch in a manner that they will be obliterated. I say this considerable background because I'm familiar with what we would do in an event like this. Now, this exercise that you saw is just a question of preparedness. We have to be prepared. As they say, hope for the best, be prepared for the worst. So we are ready. We are ready and waiting. Let him come. You know, ma'am, forgive me. General Meston, I was on one of these shows on a channel, and there was this woman from Pakistan. Forgive me, aap beti ki umar ki hai hamari. And there she was saying, Aja, Aja, I'm waiting. My wife was next to me, my wife for 48 years. And I said to her, ma'am, if that is an invitation, I'm not coming. If it's a threat, I'm coming. You know, this kind of thing. And then one of the YouTubers says funny things about our Bollywood actresses and so on, that I'd like to make them into sex slaves. Ma'am, that's the nation that is obsessed with physical gratification in this life and in the next. I don't know how to deal with them except to eliminate them. Ma'am, all this hearts and mind business, forget about it, ma'am. What is going to happen, and I'll tell you now, if I ever meet this mad Mullah Munir, I'm going to ask him a question. You have one front with Baluchistan, you have front with TTP. You have one with Taliban in Afghanistan. That's three. You have one in Sindh. They are starting the GSN movement. The fifth one is with Iran. You've opened the sixth front with Bharat. Have you lost your brains? What charas do you have?
No, but they have lost their brains, right? Logic is beyond Pakistan. That's
Thank you,
a
thank you
given.
very much.
No,
I
that's a
couldn't have
given,
put it better
and we
than you
know
have.
that. We've known that, which is why it's a lot more serious than we think it is. Because
No, ma'am,
they
it's
have,
not serious. Ma'am,
No.
it's not. They will not dare do it. You know, they're talking about China. Give me a moment.
I
I'll
don't know.
serve that.
I just
Why
find
would
them way too extreme, way too radical, and without a logic. They do not think critically, and they almost seem like a country with absolutely no barriers. They can do anything at any given point of time because they care less for their civilians. India cares for its civilians. India cares for its people. But Pakistan, I highly doubt. In fact, the Aam Janta of Pakistan are crying foul. They say we want to get rid of our military and we aren't able to. Many of them are begging and dying to move to India to get an Indian citizenship. Right. So that's a fact of the matter that the civilians in Pakistan are not on board with what and how the army thinks. Which is why it's all the more serious and scary that they are radical enough to do as they wish.
You're so right. You're so right, ma'am. Who cares? You know, their prime minister, there's some badmash who calls himself Sharif. He's no more than a peon or a water boy or a driver. Nobody cares for him. Do you see how the military treats him? I've seen meetings in Beijing where they had gone, their former prime minister, with the army chief. As they were walking in for a meeting with ping pong, tingling, whatever, the army chief told the prime minister, "Oh, wait outside, I'm going in for the meeting." And the chap meekly stands there. What kind of a joke is this, ma'am? It's a non-country. Therefore, because it's a non-country, break it up into 5 or 6 pieces. At least have some tiny countries with more sense than these fellows.
Right.
It is time, ma'am. Our patience has run. I'm sorry, I'm 52 years in diplomacy, 74 years of age. Our patience has run out. When India has sons like General Sanjay Meston, these fellows better watch out, ma'am.
Yeah.
Kinetic action, नहीं करेंगे वो ये करेंगे वो कुछ नहीं करेंगे, ma'am. दम नहीं है उसमें कुछ करने को. The moment we decide to move it, you know what we've done with the water, you know what we've done with the visas, you know we have isolated. This is all that Samdam Beddan. We've isolated them completely. We have crushed them economically. Their reputation is in tatters. They don't know, and the IMF loan, what is $1 billion, which is going to come, the sixth tranche of the $7 billion loan, it may or may not come because Uncle Donald Trump says no, it's not going to come. Their ambassador in Washington says we can't fight India. It's a much bigger and stronger country. And then he says, Chacha ji, Donald ji, Trump saab, mujhe bachao.
But let's be honest, Trump is playing a dual face game here as well. So that is a fact.
And then their defense minister said, even if all the armies of the world come, we alone are capable. अरे तेरा आदमी Washington में रो रहा है, तू यहाँ डिंगरियां मार रहा है चरस खा के. Get real, I say. Speak with one voice. Have you seen how we speak? With one voice, ma'am. That is the strength of a mature country.
Yeah, but US is selling ammunition to them, selling ammunition to us. It certainly interests the United States. We know that. But General Rameshwar, your take on the images that we're showing. If we could show some schools carrying out those civil defense drills, you know, how important in this scenario is it for us to be cautious and to internalize these directives? You know, when you're going through a drill, you got to really learn to, you know, to duck, to cover your head, to crawl, to escape. You know, how important is this? We might laugh at it now and just look at it as a video on our screens, but we may very well have to learn every step of that move.
You see,
I've done it in 71.
When nation goes to war, it is not only the armed forces, entire nation goes along with it. That is number one. The civil defense training has got to be imparted to everybody, all citizens, in the areas which are impacted by the war. So what you are showing in the visuals is primarily to preparing students in case of an air attack or an artillery fire or any other missile fire, so that they can save themselves. That is number one. Second thing is they have to complement the efforts of the Army and Army, Navy and Air Force. In whichever manner they can do that. So civil defense is complementary to the main war effort of the nation. And everything is a derivative of this objective. So therefore, wherever we have our strategic installations, like you have your railways, your airports, your dams, and your military targets, logistics areas, communication centers. These are going to be likely to be the main targets of the enemy. And if that be so, the population residing means closer to these areas, they are going to be under a lot of danger of missiles and RT fire and Air Force. RT, of course, is going to be closer to the IB or the LC. But there is enemy has got weapon system which have very long reach. So therefore, the population there have to be mentally prepared. Physically, they have to carry out drills. They have to understand the various kind of signals, sirens, and when they have to get into areas where they can protect themselves. In border areas, the certain villages, they have their bunkers. So there is a drill for everything. And it is the civil administration. They have to prepare our population in the border areas especially, and even in the hinterland and the bigger towns. So in case of any contingency of that kind, they can take sensible actions, save themselves, and also complement to the war effort, national war effort.
All right. General Mestin, your take on our air defense infrastructure, which is robust enough to prevent missile strikes as we know that it is strong enough, but in terms of cities and densely populated areas, could you give us a sense on how we're capable? Can you divulge details on our capability when it comes to civilian attacks?
See, I would just highlight, basically it is multi-tiered. So our air defense systems are very active. Firstly, we have a great superiority in that. Number two is that we adopt passive air defense measures and active air defense measures. And active is basically also a combination of radars, detection, interception, and thereafter targeting. So all these defensive measures are in place, and every equipment, military hardware, what we have, I would say it is two good example S-400, which we had acquired from Russia. So down below there are other versions. Igla missiles are there, and all these kind of things. Radar systems are there. So it is a combination of everything. Beyond that, I think I would not like to state much because the enemy should not know our capabilities. But more than that, I think we are well geared. And also another thing is, the enemy's capabilities, how far it can reach. Firstly, it's not only that that air defense measures are very active. What is their capability? What is their training? All these things matter. Even if Turkey is giving them drones in the last minute, how well are they trained? How well they can use it? So all these things are there. The use of their equipment is also suspect. So I doubt even their aircraft. Why the blackouts are there? Because see, missiles, of course, and drones, they are not worried about the blackouts. But basically, it is against aircraft. So I doubt any of their aircrafts can intrude into the Indian territory. That I am very, very clear. So yet, because it's a civil defense system, we have to be alerting our civil population. And nevertheless, at least it induces, I would not say worry, but it induces that we also have a role. Actually, it's a role everyone is playing in the country now. And I think the students and the NCC cadets, all these people now will start also doing another role. They are going to be the eyes and ears of the government of India, the country, because there would be some sleeper cells and some of the pro-Pakistani sympathizers. I think this all the drills which are being shown on the TV through the media, I think there will be general awareness amongst the people. They have to keep their eyes and ears open, because if they find anyone trying to, I remember in 71 war, people would use some torches to show them the other side, the Pakistanis, this place you can target. So I think this also would be an awareness in the general population that there could be some sympathizers, pro-sympathizers with Pakistan who can resort to this. So perhaps intelligence will also keep coming through all these activities.
Yeah.
So our air defense systems are highly capable, and I think I agree with Ambassador Vora
right.
that
But Ambassador, I'm going to come to you, our panelists. For the moment, if I could show you and our viewers here the kind of support that Pakistan has. At the end of it, we know Pakistan is not going to be capable to fight beyond 5 days. There's been enough research done on its limited military capabilities. India is vast and wide and way more capable in terms of our military defense systems and our ammunition to fight Pakistan and defeat them. But the kind of support that Pakistan gets, should we be bothered? If I could show our viewers here, amid rising hostilities with India, Pakistan now finding familiar friend in Turkey. The Turkish naval ship TCG Buyukada docked at the Karachi port to much fanfare, greeted warmly by both Turkish and Pakistani naval officers. That's Turkey's way to show friendship with Pakistan in this time of tension with India. Islamabad calling this a goodwill visit to boost maritime ties, but the timing, of course, speaking volumes of it, with India and Pakistan teetering on the edge after the Pahalgam terror attacks that's killed 26 innocents. Turkey's naval presence right now in Pakistan is being seen as a signal that's subtle but strategic. India has already responded with stern measures, suspending the Indus Waters Treaty, ramping up military drills and promising to hunt down those behind the Pahalgam massacre. And now Turkey's arrival in the region has added another layer to this standoff. Is Ankara extending a hand of friendship or quietly backing its old ally in a moment of crisis? Our panelists to tell us a little more. General Rameshwar, do you want to break into that?
Yeah, you see, Pakistan is trying to pick up their inventory, and what Turkey can give them is primarily the drones, killer drones which they used in Central Asia. So those are quite reasonably effective. They had also given these drones to Russia also. So this is a weapon that we have to think about and also make up our defenses, primarily to defeat this kind of a threat. So gradually, as the time passes by, you will find even Pakistan is going to gear up their arsenal, and we have to keep an eye on that, and we have to take countermeasures for these. But let me tell your viewers that we do have sufficient and adequate number of weapon systems to take care of such threats. And in times to come, I'm sure we are going to give them a befitting reply, whatever kind of weapon system that they get from Turkey.
General Mason, do you want to give us a sense of the kind of ammunition that's been now sent to Pakistan? We may know of some, we may not know of a lot more. But Turkey's presence there, it speaks loud and clear. Their allegiance is established.
Yeah, as brought about by the general, I think I totally agree. It's basically going to be the drones. Nothing beyond that, but Turkey's role is, I do not know why Turkey keeps supporting Pakistan. This is an issue, and probably in the near future, we have to be also very clear. We have to be very clear with Turkey. I think we should also use some leverages. Greece is there and the neighboring countries. Because Turkey...
Can we get Modi Putin images? Because I will talk about that, the friendship that India has.
Sorry?
Right. No. Apologies, sir. No, I was saying, while we see that Pakistan gets support from countries like Turkey, whose support does India have? We know that Prime Minister Modi has spoken to Putin today. He's assured all support to India. And that said, every possible Western country today has shown solidarity with what happened in Pahalgam, and also has conveyed in as many words that they are standing with India strong, and that speaks for itself. Be it the United States, the United Kingdom, countries in the Europe, the UAE, Saudi Arabia, some of the Islamic countries themselves have stood by India, and they've made that quite clear. So India's friendship and India's support, who do we have it from? Deepak Vora, Ambassador.
May I first apologize to General Yadav, sir. I'm not able to see very well. I'm using a small screen, so I didn't recognize you. My apologies, sir. Ma'am, I simply wanted to say in the Islamic world, 57 countries. Around the world, 21 countries have given their highest national honors to the Prime Minister. 8 of them are Islamic countries. Yeah. They cordially detest Pakistan. Many of my friends, I speak Arabic fluently, have told us that the good name, they call it the good name of Islam, has been ruined by Pakistan. Now, ma'am, we talked about Turkey, their ship coming to Karachi. This is to prevent a repeat of 1971, when we went into Karachi, dragged them out and blew them up. They think that by putting a frigate over there, they'll frighten the Indian Navy. The Turks are in for a rude shock. Of course, remember that Turkey is a NATO member. They dare not start a conflict with us because NATO will not side with them. Please read Article 5 of the NATO treaty. If a NATO member is attacked, then everybody responds. But if a NATO member attacks somebody else, that clause then becomes inoperative. So they're not going to do anything. Why is Turkey doing this, ma'am? In the Islamic world today, we have four claimants for leadership. We have Iran, which says, I'm the most powerful, I'm a Shia, so I'm the boss. Pakistan says, I have a nuclear weapon, so I'm the boss. Saudi Arabia says, guys, get lost, I have the two mosques, I'm the boss. Turkey says, I'm the Ottoman, so I'm the boss. Till they figure that out, it'll be too late. Finally, let me put it to you like this, man. Diplomatically, 193 members of the United Nations, 188 totally support India. I'm special advisor in 3 African countries. They have said to me very clearly, eradicate this scourge from our planet, which is terrorism. The number one challenge facing our world. Pakistan's death will be no loss to our planet. Pakistan's survival is no gain to our planet. To the people across the border, and man, your show is insanely popular. You are one of our best anchors. I just want to give them one message in the words of my hero, Rajkumar.
Yeah.
जानी हम मारेंगे तुमको बंदूक भी हमारी होगी गोली भी हमारी होगी वक्त भी हमारा होगा I rest my case.
You know, and these are no more
agree with
dialogues. This is reality, and that's what really shakes me. It's reality, and we're living that reality as of today. It's not funny. I mean, of course, how you said it, I've got to take it with a pinch of humor, but certainly not funny because we're living this reality and we're looking at an impending war. We're staring at a crisis, and that could trickle down to civilians in India, Pakistan. Of course, I'm not worried or bothered. Our first allegiance is with our own people, and that's where I stand. Looking at India and its civilians, we want safety of one and all. A quick word, General Maston. While India has friendship with many other countries, you also have Pakistan, who has some kind of allies who are aiding them. Could China be one of them?
China definitely would like to be, but it can't. It's always going to be their all-weather friend, but I doubt they'll be supporting. They are already involved in their war. That is the economic war. And I think the way President Trump has imposed tariffs and reciprocal tariffs, so I think they will not get embroiled. But yes, they would give some kind of military hardware, make symbolic statements. Beyond that, I do not foresee China doing anything else. And same Ambassador Vora has aptly summed it up, even Turkey. It's just symbolic. Nothing great will come out from these two relationships. Pakistan today is isolated, and if it has to fight, it has to fight alone. And I think the whole world is one to finish off and terrorism as highlighted.
Okay. I want our panelists to ponder on the reasons to why Pakistan is mindlessly, brainlessly violating ceasefire. If I can show our viewers here, ceasefire that's been shattered yet again by Pakistan. For the 11th day in a row, Pakistan continues to provoke along the line of control, and this has come after the Pahalgam attacks. On a daily basis, they've been violating norms there. This time, overnight firing erupted across multiple sectors: Kupwara, Baramulla, Poonch, Rajouri, Mendhar, Naushera, Sundarbani and Akhnur, forcing the Indian Army to hit back and in measure. In a statement, the Army has called this unprovoked small arms fire, saying that India has responded promptly and proportionately. The timing, of course, is telling because there are already tensions that now prevails along the borders. It's been running high since the Pahalgam attacks. Now with security forces ramping up, counter operations in Kashmir, Pakistan's provocations at line of control only adding fuel to the fire. Why, may I ask, General Rameshwar, if you could step in on this, Pakistan violating ceasefire on the 11th consecutive day. What is the reason? What are they trying to prove here?
The two reasons. Firstly, they are scared. Correct? That we may launch some surgical strike or something like that. And second thing, they're trying to convey to us, look, we are sitting here. In case you come and attack us, so you are going to face a lot of fire. So, and it is going to be a very dangerous game, and it is not going to be very easy task. So therefore, that is the basic reason that they are firing, and they are quite scared, and they want to boost up their own morale, thereby conveying, and also their higher leadership. They have told them to carry on, keep on, put on the back foot. So that is the basic reason, the two basic reason here.
Okay. So, General Mason, would you want to speak on the kind of ceasefire violations reported along the line of control? This almost looks like Pakistan being defiant. While we're investigating the Pahalgam attacks and there's intensified patrolling along the borders, here's Pakistan violating ceasefire. What's the reason for this unprovoked attack at this point?
See, General Yadav has already highlighted that. But another thing I will just substantiate is when a lion moves, what do the dogs do? They bark and keep barking. But when the lion just even stares at them and looks at them, the dogs run away. So exactly what General Yadav said, they are scared. This is exactly the scare is coming out because they want to just keep barking like dogs, very well knowing that the result will be net zero. When Indian Army decides, they will know what has happened, and so they are waiting for the lion to respond. And I think we will respond at a time of own choosing where, when, how, that is up to us. So it's basically all the dogs are barking.
Okay, a quick word, Ambassador Vora. What message does India send asking states to carry out civil defense drills send out to countries across the globe? The diplomatic message that this sends.
Yeah, that's a very intelligent question, ma'am. Let me put it across to you. This is not an all of government approach. This is an all of people approach. The nation is united behind this, and the message we are sending across. We haven't said anything. We haven't said we are going to attack you. It's those buffoons who were saying within 24 to 36 hours, India is going to attack us. I never did anything like that. These fellows are running scared, as General Saab has said. They are frightened. We have won 9/10 of the war because they are sweating. We'll continue to make them sweat. And the message going out is, we don't care if that fellow tries to launch a kinetic attack on us. We won't. We'll do what we have to. But if he decides, as he did in 65, he did in 71, he did in 1999, he tries to be the first mover. And then, of course, he's the first to run away also. So we'll do what we have to, ma'am. The message is loud and clear. We are ready for any eventuality. I conclude by saying, General Saab, General Maston, General Yadav, ab ye India nahi hai, sir. Ye Bharat hai ab. Ye bahut marega.
A quick question, General Mason. We're looking very closely at the investigations. We want the terrorists brought to book. They're still on the run. We know that there was one man who tried to escape and jumped into the river to try to escape. The overground worker who was suspected to be linked with those terrorists tried to escape when the investigation intensified. But of course, people want all the more the terrorists be brought to book. I mean, war or no war, we want the terrorists to be brought to book. When could that happen? When could we, for those really hoping for that to happen soon, what would you say?
See, both the panelists, the two officers who are sitting with you, we are infantry officers. So we have operated in that area. Unfortunately, there are, the terrain is a very major hindrance, and they have taken at least 1 hour lead. Where till the time the security forces arrived, they had done their escape and evasion. So there is no doubt that they are loitering around in one of these hills because it's all connected, across Bir Panjal. The areas are dense and the tree line is generally up to 13,000 feet. So they are taking advantage, and unfortunately in those areas there are a large number of caves also. So I'm quite clear that these people would have come self-sustained in some of the, these hideouts, so-called caves. They would have kept their rations, or, they have to survive also because survival is very important. Then how many days they can survive? When I was in Afghanistan, I recollect some of these terrorists, when they used to be caught, they used to be having a large number of cashew nuts and chocolates. They were just surviving on this. So they would be having these rations, but some hideouts would be there. But I think the Indian Army with the drones and helicopters and everything, the local police, because they are very extremely important, and of course some locals. That's how one local tried to jump and he committed suicide. So the local leads will also be given, and tracker dogs are very important. So we would be using tracker dogs. One of them, if we get sight of it, I think then the tracker dogs will also be very helpful. So it may take time, or it can even be happen tomorrow. But the relentless operations are on. It's a joint operation by all the security forces, including the special forces of the Indian Army. And I'm quite sure they will not be allowed to cross back to Pakistan. That is very clear. The LCs would have been totally sealed, I would say. So they would be caught. in due course of time. I am very, very hopeful.
Okay. Can we play out those visuals of the man trying to jump and escape? He drowns, we hear. Now, the family of that overground worker claims that he was killed in custody. Of course, they claim that he is innocent, but it seems like he feared the investigation and then quickly jumped into the waters and drowned. He didn't survive. General Yadav, would you want to speak about the visual that's on our screen here? One of the suspected terrorist allies could be a local possibly. He was being probed and investigated as to his links with those terrorists, and while the investigation was on, he rushes to a close by water body and jumps into the water. While he tried to escape, he drowned. The parents claim that this was a death in custody. Now, of course, the family more often than not are generally oblivious to what a person is really doing. He could very well be linked with a terrorist or could be a terrorist himself. Most often families do not know. But at this point, while the investigative agencies are pressing hard and intensifying probe here, news like this coming forward, could it derail the spirit of the forces or the investigative agencies?
Firstly, the forces, they do not get demotivated by such action, number one. Secondly, I can't really comment on why this guy has jumped into it. Surely it is quite clear that he is trying to evade and run away from interrogation. So it is as simple as that. What is the cause and why it has been done and what kind of excuse their family members are trying to, they are trying to blame the army and all, well, we cannot comment it as of now, only by looking at the visuals. But this is for sure, like Sanjay has said, they are going to be caught sooner or later. You see, the inter-agencies, the way they interrogate, they have a knack of getting truth out of these guys, and we will do that. And once we know the intelligence, so int-based operations will be launched in Pir Panjal or whichever area these people are as of now, and they'll be caught and they'll be eliminated surely.
You know, I'd request three of you to stay with us as I'm going to show our viewers on India's move how we weaponized water here against Pakistan. India has just shown how water can be used as a weapon, and this is proof. Visuals are trickling in from Jammu and Kashmir showing parts of Chenab River running alarmingly dry. It's a direct fallout of India's decision to restrict water flow through key hydroelectric projects like Baglihar and Salal dams after suspending decades-old Indus Water Treaty with Pakistan. Fresh visuals that have come in, and that's what you see on our screens here. This is a watershed moment indeed, literally and politically. For the first time since the treaty was signed in 1960, India has gone ahead with sediment flushing operations at the Baglihar and Salal dams, the process which involves nearly draining out reservoirs to clean them and boost power output. So far had been off limits, but of course India is playing its new cards. The move began on May 1st is what we are being told, and it's continued for the last few days. These dams, Baglihar in Ramban and Salal in Resi, sit along the Chenab River, a critical lifeline for Pakistan's farmlands and power stations. We're seeing clearly water at a much reduced level than what it naturally is. That's not all. Similar plans are now being drawn out by India for the Krishna Ganga Dam over the Jhelum River as well, another artery that flows into Pakistan. The dam has already faced legal heat for disrupting the Neelum River, and this latest shift could only spark diplomatic flare-up. Islamabad has issued a stern warning. Any move to block or divert Indus waters will be treated as an act of war. India's Waters Minister, on our part, has made the government stance quite clear. Not a single drop of Indus water will reach Pakistan, glimpses of which we are seeing very clearly in the visuals here. Engineers do caution though that physically altering river flow could take time, but we made the first move and it's had an instant effect on the ground, as you see very clearly through these visuals. Coming on this, India blocking off water, Chenab River that usually was swelling, a key lifeline for Pakistan for their agriculture, farmers, even their daily work, daily usage has now fallen short of even the basic levels. And this is India's doing. Very clearly showing that we've used water as a weapon. Maybe for the first time in the world, using water as ammunition, India has shown how it's done.
Yeah. Did you ask me to comment on
Yeah,
that?
yeah. Would you like to, please?
Well, yes, certainly. Weaponization of water, I don't know what that means, but there is weaponization of the dollar. We hear about that. We hear lots of weaponization. The essential issue is that Pakistan was created in 1947. The Indus Water Treaty was signed in 1960. It was a total surrender to those jokers from the World Bank who had never seen a river before, but were involved in mediating that treaty. We gave away everything. Plus, ma'am, we gave £6.5 million sterling over 10 years that Pakistan used to construct the Mangla and that other Tarbela dam. Everything was done with my money, and we couldn't do anything because they would run off for mediation, etc. Now, by keeping in abeyance, we haven't cancelled it. By keeping in abeyance the treaty, we are able to do what we want. It's Pakistan that is threatening war. They are scared. Let me share with you something, ma'am. Take you back to the 90s. The two generals might be interested in this. We are discussing. I was in a meeting. One of the Indus Water Treaty thing, not related to the main treaty, but one of the spin-offs. And there, one of their fellows said that, look, we are having a lot of problems with the Indus River before it enters the Arabian Sea. It dries 20 or 30 kilometers before because we haven't done the right things, etc. So the water of the Arabian Sea in a backflow enters the river and it becomes saline. There's no agriculture. And then I remember that one of my colleagues from the Ministry of Agriculture saying, look, we have a lot of expertise in saline water farming, dryland farming. Would you like any help? And ma'am, forgive me, whatever anybody's religion is. And the answer is, no, Allah will teach us how to do it. Well, thank you very much. I mean, you don't want any help from us, we won't give it to you. Now, that kind of mindset, it's going to be rudely awakened because nobody is going to come and put water into the river if we stop it. It's going to be a rude awakening for them. This is, as the French say, a conflict tous azimuts, every direction, multi-directional. We're not going to stop at anything. If kinetic war is forced on us, we will do it. Short of that, we'll do everything to pulverize this non-nation. And as a diplomat, ma'am, that's strong language that I'm using.
Yeah, fairly and surely they could fall back on Allah itself to save them. General Mason, your take on the waters being locked. India now holding back through our reservoirs, water in Chenab River drastically low, and Pakistan has already sounded an alert that if water does not flow, your blood will flow. A warning to India.
Sorry, I just wanted to mention when I was posted in Sudan, at that point of time, the Egyptians were very angry with the Ethiopians over the Blue Nile. The Ethiopians were saying we are building the Grand Renaissance Dam. So the Egyptians said, you do that and we'll go to war, we'll send the Air Force. Well, they built the dam, it's filled. The Egyptians are not able to do anything. Just wanted to tell you these are empty threats. No one is going to be able to do anything. Sorry, I forgive the interruption.
Yeah, General Mason?
Yeah, Nabila, I think this is the best offensive we have done, the strategic offense. This has really paid huge dividends, and this is the first time India has resorted to this. And I would say the shaping of the battlefield, the shaping of the external environment has been done marvelously well. Whether it was diplomatic, whether it has been political, where the entire world leaders are supporting us. And of course, this holding of this Indus Water Treaty held in abeyance. This has made the biggest difference. You know, after that Bilawal Bhutto statement, ki khoon bahega and all those kind of things. So actually, this has unnerved them in totality. Abhi to kinetic offensive has not even thought of, I would not say thought of, it's not even been executed. So this has made such a difference. The whole Pakistan nation was in panic, and I think today the stopping of water or blocking the water at Chenab by these two dams, Salal and of course Baglihar, and also on the Kishan Ganga, that Jhelum River. I think this is going to make a significant impact, and as military people mind, we are very, very happy because we used to talk in our war games that, you know, this is one of the most potent weapons we have, we should use it. I'm very happy the first time it is being executed, and this is called total panic and chaos in Pakistan. And I think Munir is really confused now, and we are striking him from every possible direction. Now he knows that from the west and from the east and from the top and from the north, everywhere he is surrounded. And this
he's going to be seeing a huge revolution from his own people. There will be a huge protests that will be launched by the civilians itself, and that was it was just about time. And I have a very strong feeling that Pakistani civilians will now come against and turn against its own army. They are desperate for it. They are probably even hoping and begging and waiting for India to put them in their place. Right. A quick look at the Lashkar-e-Taiba that's back in focus. Our final word from our panelists on that. First of all, our viewers to know, Lashkar-e-Taiba, that's now become a lot more emboldened. It's become bloodier, bolder, a lot more organized with this leadership change. Pahalgam terror attack that's killed 26 innocents, a sign that Pakistan's most lethal terror proxy is now recalibrating its operations and tightening its grip along the LOC. In the latest news we hear, there's been a leadership change, a major one. Talha Saeed, son of Lashkar founder Hafiz Saeed, is now stepping into his father's shoes, a generational handover of jihad as Lashkar prepares for its next phase. Zakiur Rahman Lakhvi continues as the chief of operations, running training camps, logistics and strike planning. 2611 handler Sajid Mir now commands Lashkar's global recruitment and international terror footprint. Propaganda head Muhammad Yahya Mujahid is the finance chief. Haji Muhammad Ashraf, along with him Al-Qaeda linkman Arif Kasmani, all round up as a top brass of Lashkar-e-Taiba. Now, ideologue Zafar Iqbal remains the co-founder, shaping Lashkar's core narrative. On the ground, mid-level commanders like Adil Tokar carry out missions like the Pahalgam carnage. Lashkar's real strength lies in its spiderweb of support groups from Jamaat-ud-Dawa. These are some of the support groups I'm reading out. Jamaat-ud-Dawa, Falah-e-Insaniyat, the foundation, Isar Foundation, Al-Madina Trust. These are all foundations and trusts, basically mini terror groups that are supporting LET in its missions, multiple missions. Even its banned political face, Milli Muslim League, also continues to function under LET's radar. Now, since the Pahalgam bloodshed, Lashkar's network has only kicked into overdrive, boosting infiltration, ramping up radicalization, and flooding the internet with propaganda. Pakistan may very well pretend that LET is banned under them, but on ground, the outfit is a lot more alive than it ever was. It's armed, it's funded, and now it's led by the next Saeed in line. Let me bring in a quick word, a final word from our panelists on that. General Mason, would you want to say LET's leadership change is a whole overhaul? We're looking at Pakistan constantly denying that LET is banned. They have nothing to do with it. But look at the kind of funding that they're receiving and the whole top brass that's had a rejig. They're really recalibrating even better and bigger than the Pakistan army right now.
Yeah, definitely the intent is that. But on ground, nothing will change. They are the same terrorists. So they can keep changing their command and control and, other structures. It's not going to make much of impact. But I think it is high time that this LET, now we need to target on a multi-dimensional front. I think the TTP, the Afghan Taliban, the Baluchistan Liberation Army, I would even go to the extent of saying Israeli army, the United States, because and including UK, they have all been hit from so many terrorist networks emanating from Pakistan. 9/11 happened here. The train bombings of London happened from here. Everything. The World Trade Center was also targeted from here. So when they are the epicenter of terrorism, I think both the armed forces and the so-called pawns, the LET and all, they need to be targeted. So I don't really feel any great thing is going to happen with this reorganization or the structural reorganization. But now we have to target them. I think this is a golden opportunity for India. Now the whole world is with us. So I think the world needs to target. Now it is not India's battle alone. It is the world's battle, because Ambassador Hora also pointed out that even the African Union, majority of the countries are with India because they are fed up of this biggest problem on this earth is this terrorism. And that happens to be the epicenter of terrorism, Pakistan.
We've heard a research that says extensively that Pakistan could be one of the most dangerous nations in the world. And unfortunately, it happens to be our neighbor. We're really living through this time, and this time it's become a lot more intense, and maybe, hopefully, India puts them in place once and for all. Deepak Vora, Ambassador, a final word from you as we wrap here on India announcing that civil defense drills will be carried out across the country. A quick look at our drills that's happening right now in Kashmir. Similar drills like we see in those schools are going to now happen across nations, across states of India. A quick word from you on what we may see in the days to come.
What we're going to see, ma'am, as you had rightly predicted, is the people of Pakistan rising against their army, which has brought nothing but disrepute to the country. And when that happens, terror organizations like Lashkars, etc., which have been named in several international documents, ma'am, they will be picked up like flies in a cup of tea and thrown out. These guys think that the Pakistani state will shelter them. No. LET, once the army has gone, the Lashkar-e-Taiba will be no use to anybody in Pakistan. They will be thrown into a pit and snakes let into that pit so that the snakes can feed on the blood of other snakes. I see that coming. I've seen it happen in several of the countries where I've served, ma'am.
A final word, General Rameshwar. We can't. Okay, you're back. Your internet has been acting up. It's been very difficult to take your word. We're looking at visuals of drills that are happening in Kashmir on 7th of May. What do you envision? What's the kind of images we are going to see on our screens? How should civilians be prepared?
I think it is an ongoing process in many of these border areas. In fact, even during peace times, whenever we have been deployed in J&K, we have been conducting these drills for students and civilians, all these villagers. So there is nothing new about it. It is a routine thing. Only thing is, because there is a likelihood of breakout into towns in the hinterland and the big towns, so that citizens, they are aware of dangers, and they must know what they should do in case of any eventuality of a strike in that area. So it is normal routine thing. We keep on doing it.
I'm not sure if it's normal routine, General Mestin. I'll take your final word. It can't be routine, can it be? I've never seen something like this, at least closer to me. Now, if it's going to come to where I am in Delhi and surrounding states, it's certainly a matter of concern. It only shows that we are gearing up for war.
I would not say we are gearing up for war. We are just prepared. It's just one of the contingencies, and preparing people. We should not be caught off guard. So our basic drills have to be understood by the people. It is not for any cause of concern. So that people are aware, if something happens, these are the drills we have to adapt to save, not I would say even save our lives, to basically take precautions.
But who are the agencies who does it, sir? I mean, who's going to be doing it? Now, direction has gone to states, but who will carry this out?
Civil defense and civil administration.
Right.
It is the collector and the district magistrates. They are responsible to conduct it, and they have the wherewithal and resources for it.
Right. All right. Thank you very much. Really, highly, truly appreciate. You were supposed to stay for just a few minutes, but you all have stayed with me for the entire hour. I really appreciate your time. Thank you very much for joining us, sir. All right. That's it for now. Same time, same place on News 9 right here tomorrow. Have a great night.
What a save! What a save!
I need expert savings. I need my carrier.
Every brand tells a story. And they are the storytellers. The Sutradhars. They present a brand with band, baja and barat to you. They are the Brandwalas.
In a huge setback for bike taxi services in Karnataka, Tamil Nadu races ahead with 9.69% growth rate, India's fastest growing state this year. Good for Tamil Nadu. You may not be directly involved with what your son or daughter does, but your influence does well. My name is Sudha Sadanand. Welcome to the South Indian.
What is To the Nines? In literal terms, it's perfection. But to us, it's not just a phrase, it's an attitude. One that starts at your desk and sends a statement to the world. To the Nines is about taking charge. It's a way of life where every seam, every fold, is crafted with excellence. It's timeless elegance and uncompromising quality made for the corner office. It's the ideas that inspire redefining order